Hey, my name is Rocky Logue, and I'm a teacher here on the Central Coast of California. I teach 7th grade social studies at Mesa Middle School, along with art and digital media arts. I'm here to give you parents and other people that need to know a little tour about Google Classroom. I'm going to give you a little bit of ins and outs. This is going to be a 2-part tutorial. In the first tutorial, I'm just going to go over the basics of Google Classroom and walk you through the interface. And then in the second one, I'm going to talk more about attaching assignments and turning in assignments and attaching things to assignments in Google Classroom. So let's get started with part 1. Okay, now I have open Google Classroom to share with you. I do want to talk about a couple things about Google Classroom before we get started. Google Classroom is what's known as a document management system. So it's really what it is. It's to help teachers and students manage their documents. So it's a nice place for teachers to pass out digital work. It instantly shares it with their students at the click of a button, and vice versa. When students turn things into Google Classroom, it instantly shares it with their teacher. So it's just a nice, good organizational piece that works well, obviously, with the G Suite or the Google apps that your students use. One little thing about Google that I do want to mention again before we start is Google changes things. They roll things out. And if you're seeing this a couple weeks from now and things look a little bit different than they do in this tutorial, just know that Google does that. I've had sometimes in my own class, kids have different features. Some have the new and some have the old. It's not, I guess, not features, but look to things. So just know that that may happen. It doesn't change the functionality, doesn't change the workability of the Google apps, but they do tend to, Google does tend to change things over time, which is good because they're adding new features. And lots of times that happens around the beginning of the school year. So just note that if you're looking at this a month from now or a couple weeks after I did this, things may be tweaked a little bit, but everything functionally will be the same. All right, so let's get into the tour. First of all, this is Google Classroom. Your student's Google Classroom will look like this. It'll have all the classes that they're enrolled in. Mine has classes that I'm actually teaching as well, but theirs will be all that they are enrolled in. So for instance, if you are a middle school or high school teacher, you'll have your periods and they'll be named that however the teacher names them. Could say first period math, second period social studies, whatever those periods are named, they will all show up organized on this first page. If you're elementary school, then again, that's up to your teacher. You might have one class for, say, Mrs. Smith, and then, or you might have a class for each subject. It's really up to that teacher how to organize that, but they will all show up when your student signs in. Now, I'm showing you the student view because you can sign up as a guardian in a Google Classroom for your student. However, you don't get to see the classroom itself. As a guardian, you only get email notifications. So I suggest that you do sign up as a guardian. You have to be invited by the teacher. You'll get an email and then you sign up. You can either get daily feedback or weekly feedback, but it's just an email saying what's due or what isn't due. I have my own kids whose teachers use Google Classroom. I tend to disregard those emails because they don't tell you a whole lot. I go to my students, my own kids, Google Classrooms. I have them sign in and then I look at their Google Classroom. You can see a lot more there than you can from those weekly or daily emails. Also, if you have more than one kid and say they're all in high school, 1, 2, 3, you're going to be getting 6 emails from 6 different teachers for each kid each week or each day. Tends to be a lot of emails. Again, I think it's easier to have your student log in, look over their shoulder, and look at the interface. So that's what I'm going to show you today. I'm not going to show you the email part, the guardian part, because it's really simple. You'll get an email. You'll either accept or deny it. If you accept it, it just says, when do you want your email feedback from your students or from the teachers from class? And that will either be daily or weekly, and that's it. And then you'll get an email either daily or weekly. So let's look at the Google Classroom interface. I think Google Classroom has done a great job making things organized. That's the whole point of this, organizing things for the teacher and the students. So I'm going to start here on the main menu. When I click on the menu bars, the first one is classes. That just takes me home back to all of my classes. The next down the list, and I really, every year I teach, try to instill in the students to use their Google Calendar. It takes you to Google Calendar. In Google Classroom, when a teacher creates a class, it creates a Google Calendar that goes with that class, and every assignment that has a due date in that class is then placed on that calendar. And it also shares that calendar with all of the students in the class. So if you're like me and you have your Google Calendar on your phone, well, that classwork ends up on your phone and with the due dates and the notifications and things like that. But let me show you what it looks like from this end. So it's showing my week, August 2nd through August 8th. I can see all of my assignments that are due. I'm only enrolled in one class for this test class, but if I was in 6 classes, it would have all of my stuff lined up here, the days that they are due. They're hyperlinked. So if I click on the assignment, it'll take me directly to the assignment. It will give me all the instructions. It will let me add things to my assignment, finish it, add private comments, all the things you could do in an assignment. It will do that just clicking on it from the calendar. So that's a really nice feature. Now, like I said, it also creates a Google Calendar with these things on it as well. So let me show you I have my Google Calendar open. And you can see on my Google Calendar, it has the same things. They're all hyperlinked. So if I open an assignment and click on it, it'll automatically take me to that assignment. So it's a really nice feature. It's already organized things for you. We haven't even looked at the classwork feed, and it's already put things in order for you. You can just use the calendar to get to your assignments. All right, let's go down the list. Now, this part I'm not going to go over because I'm a teacher and I have classes. Your students won't see this part because they're not creating classes and teaching. So I'm not going to go over the review and I'm not going to show you it from my end because you don't really need to know that. So let's look at the classes I'm enrolled in. Let's look at the to-do list. The to-do list is similar to the calendar. It lists things that are due, and when they're due, I can also click on them and go to those assignments. I can filter this by class. I'm in 2 different classes. I could filter these by classes. I could filter it by first, second, third period, math, language arts, however I want to filter it. Again, super organized. I can get around to all my assignments. And again, I haven't even gone to the main feed yet. I can get to my test class from here, from the menu. I could also have gotten to it from the home, but I'm not going to go into the class yet. I want to show you one more thing here at the bottom that's useful, the settings. As a teacher, I usually have the email notifications turned off because I have hundreds of students in my classes in total, and I get lots and lots of emails if I have those turned on. So I usually turn those off. But if I was a student, I would keep notifications turned on. And if you see here, we have toggle switches to toggle notifications on and off for each different thing. So work and other posts from teachers, might want to keep that on because every time an assignment is posted, you'll get an email notification. And I'll show you those in a minute. Returned work and grades from your teacher. So if a teacher grades something and you're waiting to see when it's done, instead of checking, you can have that emailed to you. When the teacher returns it, finishes grading that paper, you'll get the email, or your student will get the email. Sorry, this is the student view that will tell them that it's graded. Invitations to join classes as a student. This one you could probably turn off because, this one you might want to leave on, but most of the time your teacher is going to be there, or in this day we're in distance learning, your teacher is going to have reached out to you already through an email, or in my district, we can create Google Classroom straight from Aries, and it creates the Google Classroom and it auto-populates the students, so I don't send out invitations. And this is a big one. If your kids don't want to get emails for all of these, I would at least keep this on, right? Due date reminders for your work, because at least you're getting some type of update when something's coming due. The last one, again, I'm going to skip this because the kids aren't teaching classes. The last one is this class notifications. Turn email and mobile notifications on or off as a class. So you can toggle on or off your mobile notifications on this as well. So if you have it on your phone, and I know most people do a lot of their work on their phone nowadays, you can toggle on or off these class notifications. So again, get into settings, get that all set up the way that you want your student to have it, or help your student get set up in a way that you think is beneficial for them. Now, let's take a look at the actual classroom. So as before we even get there, if you notice, this is the class I'm going to be looking at, this test class. It already has given me some reminders here, what's coming up, what's due. I can click on here and open your work for the test class. Well, that will show me the class we're going to show you in a minute. There's also, you can go to the test class folder. Again, Google organizes things for you. So there's a parent folder for the class. And in that parent folder, there's folders with all your work and things like that. I never go into it as a teacher. I don't know that the kids necessarily need to go into it. But if they wanted to go into that folder and find any work, older work, maybe, they did earlier in the year, they want to reference something, they could find it through that folder if they wanted to. So let's open up the class. So this is the first page. This is your stream. On this page, I'm not a huge fan of this page from Google because what happens is on this stream, everything, all of your stream, your classwork, everything pops up on here, and it becomes this long stream of things. I, as a teacher, have curated mine. I've turned off. I have a setting where I can turn off all of the work that shows up and only leave announcements. I really liked having the announcements here for distance learning because I could at least do daily announcements here on the stream. But again, as a teacher, I've turned it off so my kids won't see all of the classwork on the stream as well as the announcements. Here they have little reminders what's coming up, your announcements here. I'm going to skip classwork for a minute. I'm going to go to people. On this people tab, there's not a whole lot to it. It has a list of teachers in that class. And in your class, you might have several teachers. You might have your regular ed teacher. You might have a SPED teacher. You might have somebody co-teaching in the class, and it will list all of them here as teachers. You can easily one click and send them an email, or your students can send them an email. It would show I'm the only student enrolled in this class, but it would also show you who else is enrolled in class. And you can one click and email the other students in class as well. So that's just the people page. So let's get to the whole meat, I think, of Google Classroom, and that's the classwork page. Now, the classwork page is where all of your assignments or your students' assignments live. Across the top of the page, you can view work that you have to do. And this just lists it. It lists all assigned work. If any work has been returned, I haven't graded anything and returned it to myself, so nothing's going to show up here and show up as return. And it would also show missing. So if I haven't done something before the due date, it will, or if the due date's passed and I haven't finished it, it will list everything that I'm missing. So again, this is a nice way to stay organized. There's a link to the calendar. It's the same calendar I already showed you, so I'm not going to go over that. I talked about the class drive folder. Never really going to have to look at that. So now let's look at the rest of this. This is a key component, topics. This will help you navigate your Google Classroom. Now, at different levels and different classes, teachers use different topics. Just like people are different teachers teaching different subjects, their usage of topics may be different. I have seen in elementary school where teachers use their subjects as topics, where one topic might be math, one might be language arts, one might be social studies, so on and so forth. I've also seen it where I've also seen in middle school where teachers will use topics by week. So you can look at that week and see what assignments were on that week. I like to do mine by unit, where everything stays together in that unit. I generally per semester have about 80 to 100 assignments. So if you figure that this was just a feed without being organized by units or days, weeks, or topics, that it could be a pretty long feed and hard to navigate. What these topics make it easy to do is, I want to see just the stuff in unit 2. I click on that and it shows me all the assignments just in unit 2. If I want to see what's in Unit 1, I click on that, and it only shows me the assignments in Unit 1, so on and so forth. If I just want to see what's happening in each unit or topic, I click on that and I only see those. If I want to go back to the main feed, boom, everything's there. It's the end of the first part of this tutorial. In the second part, I'm going to go over what the assignments look like and also how to add things, how to add documents and things and turn in those assignments.